Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to start off by looking at Magic 2014, and we're going to start off by looking at Lightforce, which is a white and green deck. Let's look at the deck list. So we've got 18 creatures, 9 enchantments, 5 instants, 2 artifacts, 1 sorcery and 25 land, mana curve off to the side there. So let's start looking at the cards in the deck. So theme of the deck is basically white-green enchantments, white-green auras, which is pretty solid theme. Having quite a heavy enchantment theme is good as well because we're going into Theros after M14, which has a big enchantment theme there. A lot of cards that deal with enchantments. So this is kind of a nice way of, I think, getting maybe prepping players ready for going into that, I think. So the foil face rare is Ajani's Chosen. So 2 colors and 2 white for 3/3. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you create a 2/2 white cat creature token, and if the enchantment is an aura, you can attach it to the token. So this is quite nice, actually. I like the fact that essentially, it means that auras in your hand aren't essentially dead cards. You don't have to load up this single creature with an aura. As you cast it, you can make a token which then you equip the aura onto. Although, as we'll see in the deck, actually, a lot of the a good sort of portion of the auras are not ones you want to put on your own creature anyway. Because I think there's 3 pacifisms. Yeah, there's 3 pacifisms. So there's only 6 auras that you'd want to, or 6 enchantments that you'd want to maybe put on your own stuff. So that's a bit, maybe not ideal. But yeah, I think as a whole, I think Ajani's Chosen is a pretty solid creature. It's fine. Just makes tokens for free, I guess. But yeah, so I'm just wondering if there's enough auras in the deck to make it worthwhile. I'd say you got 9, I suppose. It's all right. This is the thing, really. I think actually about the face cards in M14 is that we went from M13 where they were kind of cool legendary creatures, and now they're these cards which are sort of connected to the Planeswalkers. So we have Ajani's Chosen. I think there's Jace's Mindseeker, Liliana's Reaver, Garrick's Horde, and can't remember the red one off the top of my head. But they just don't feel as kind of exciting to me personally. I mean, they're still okay. They're still some of them are kind of fun build arounds like this one. But yeah, as a whole, it's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I would like this more if it had. This is maybe me being greedy, but if it had another keyword in addition to its ability, maybe. Anyway. I have a single Auramancer, which is a real shame. Definitely should, I think, had 2 of these at least in a deck that cares about enchantments. So 2 colors and 1 white for a 2/2. When it ends the battlefield, you can return an enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, really think there should have been at least 2 in the deck, and we'll see. That was definitely a possibility based on what's in the deck. So we have 2 Banisher Priests. So this is quite interesting. So this is sort of when the Oblivion Ring effect gets reworded a little bit to work as intended. So Banisher Priest is 1 color and 2 white for a 2/2. When it ends the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until Banisher Priest leaves the battlefield. So if you look back to, say, Innistrad, you had Fiend Slayer, which was almost exactly this card. It's a 1/3 instead. But ignoring stats, it had almost this ability where it was if it enters the battlefield, you exile a creature, but then when the creature returns to the battlefield is a completely separate trigger. So you can do kind of shenanigans with it where you stack the triggers in a certain way so that you permanently exile something, which is it's perfectly legal to do within the rules. It does require some rules knowledge, but I actually prefer it being this way because I think it works as intended, and I don't know. I feel like if you do it the other way, you manipulate the triggers so you permanently exile something. I feel like if you do that against someone who doesn't have as great rules knowledge, it just kind of feels a bit like cheating, and it feels like you're exploiting a loophole, and I'm not fond of it for that reason. So I think this is a much cleaner way of doing it, of just having it all be kind of one ability rather than 2 separate triggers. But yeah, really like to hear what people's opinion on that is. This changed the kind of the Oblivion exile wording. But yeah, anyway, Banish Your Priest I think is a really cool little card. 2 Dawnstrike Paladins, 3 and 2 white for a 2/4 with Vigilance and Lifelink. Yep, just maybe a little expensive, but fairly like tanky. Good. Maybe to drop this mid game where it can sort of block and gain you some life back. Yeah, sure, it's okay. 2 Soul Menders, really not a great card at all. I really don't understand why this was included. So 1 white mana for a 1/1, and you just tap to gain 1 life, and it's just. I don't know, like, I feel like comparing it to Soul Warden is not like a fair comparison, because like Soul Warden, is just so much better than this card. I don't know, maybe the thinking was Soul Warden was too good, because I could argue that Soul Warden maybe should be uncommon, because Soul Warden gains you like so much life for like just a single white mana and being a 1/1. So like maybe they felt like this was kind of fixing Soul Warden, but like this is such a weak effect, honestly. Yeah, even if this was, it's so weak, because if it was just like 1 white mana for a 1/1, and if it was like, oh, at the start of your upkeep you gain 1 life or something, that would be fine, I think. That would be perfectly fine. But yeah, to make it like this tap ability to gain 1 life is so weak, such a weak little card. So there is actually, like, I did say it was a enchantment aura theme in the deck, but there is actually a minor life gain theme as well. So we have 2 Voracious Worms, so 1 and a green for a 2/2, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. So this could be potentially like, if you so like the Dawnstrike Paladin, you've got some lifelink creatures. It's potentially good like turn 2 play. I think even if you get, possibly 1 or even 2 counters on it, you're still getting like a fairly good discount, because by its base is a 2/2 for 2, which is functional. So yeah, if you can get like one counter on it, like getting a 3/3 for 2 mana is okay. I think this is fine. 2 Capuchin Knights, which is like a really weird reprint from Urza's to include here. So 1 and a white for a 1/1 with First Strike. You pay 1 and a white to give it +1/+0 to end of turn, so it's like a white fire breathing ability. Yeah, it's okay. At least it has fire breathing and First Strike, I suppose. Yeah, it's okay. It just feels like it was such a weird reprint to have, honestly. But yeah, it's fine. A single charging griffin, 3 and a white for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever it attacks you, it gets +1/+1 to the end of turn. Cards like this, I never understand why they just can't be like just because like white should be able to get like a 3/3 flyer for 4 mana, right? Like that's Phantom monster stats, and like I don't know, like I always feel like this ability is so weird. I mean, obviously, yeah, it means it's better on attacking than it is on blocking, right? But I don't know. It's just hard to get excited about this kind of card, And then 2 Serra Angels. We like Serra Angel. We can rely on Serra Angel. 3 and 2 white for a 4/4 flying vigilance. Yeah, we all know what Serra Angel does, and she's great. This is the bit that annoys me. 3 Pillarfield Oxes, so 3 and a white for a 2/4, with like no ability or anything. So easily could have cut one of these for like another Auramancer, like easily. Get used to Pillarfield Ox. It is going to show up like in a lot of decks going forward, which is really annoying. Or at least it feels like it's going to show up in a lot of decks. I mean, I did all the graphics of Theros and just felt like this is in quite a few of the white decks, honestly. But anyway, this is just obviously really. This is just filler. It's really annoying that it's here. A single indestructibility, so this is the other rare of the deck. So 3 and a white aura goes on any permanent, and the enchanted permanent has indestructible, which is obviously like a pretty strong effect to make something indestructible. It's just fine. This again where I'm going to sound like a little bit greedy. It does feel boring that all it does is indestructible. Like it doesn't give a like a power toughness boost or whatever. And because this is a reprint, I think, from M10, and I feel like when it was an M10, it was costed. Because indestructible is like a good thing. Obviously, it's obviously like a strong keyword. But like I don't know if like 4 mana is worth it, just if that's all it's doing. I don't know. I might be getting maybe that was me just being greedy again, but again would really like to hear what people's opinion is on indestructible. Like, is it worth paying 4 mana to make any permanent indestructible? Would it be interesting if indestructibility itself had indestructible, like so you couldn't destroy the aura? I don't know. I'm just, again, maybe being greedy. But yeah, it's okay. It's kind of like a little boring as a rare, honestly, I think. So you have a single Angelica chord, so 3 and a white. Enchantment, at the beginning of each end step, if you gained 4 or more life this turn, you put a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So yeah, this is like playing to the very minor life gain theme like the deck has. So I said, well, you got the Dawnstrike Paladin, you got the Soul Mender. That's about it so far. I mean, like, it's a really good effect. Like, and if in the right deck, it's pretty easy to get 4 or more life a turn, like with various, say, like effects in like white or black or green or whatever. And then getting a free angel every turn is obviously pretty good as well. But yeah, you got to jump through some hoops to it, and I'm not sure this deck could do it reliably. So you got Divine Favors here, but only one of them. So that's 1 and a white. When it enters the battlefield, you get 3 life, which is pretty good. That helps towards the Angelic Chord, helps towards the worm as well, and in charge creature gets +1/+3. So I'm just saying, like a potential turn 4 play could be, Divine Favor on something, then Voracious Worm, and the Voracious Worm is then getting 3 +1/+1 counters at least. Maybe that's possibly a good play here, but like I would have liked more than one of these in here. Again, to sort of tie into the life gain theme and also to like the enchantment aura theme that you've got with Ajani's Chosen. 3 Grax back. 3 of these. This is essentially what you're going to have to use instead of like normal removal, just like pacify enemy creatures. I suppose it is nice that casting these will also get you cat tokens from Ajani's Chosen. I suppose. Yeah, it's okay having 3 of them, and then 3 Troll Hides, 2 and a green. Aura goes on a creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has 1 and 1 green to regenerate, which is fine. Very basic sort of buff aura. It's fine. Regeneration is like fairly nice and cheap, so that's okay. So then we have 2 Brave the Elements. So 1 white mana, choose a color. White creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color until the end of turn. So this is like a pretty strong combat trick. The majority of the creatures in the deck are white. I say apart from the worm, I think is the only green creature. So to give your whole board protection from your opponent's, say, like primary color or whatever, for a single white mana is really, really strong. This is a reprint from Zendikar, and I don't think it was in a single Zendikar deck, which I'm not surprised by because the Zendikar decks were really not great at all. This is really strong. Really nice there's 2 of them in the deck, actually. A single Congregate, 3 and a white. Target player gains 2 life for each creature on the battlefield. This is a good reprint from Urza's block. Unlike the weird Capuchin Knight, because this can gain like a really crazy amount of life. I think. I think this is really solid, and again would go really nicely with the worm and the Angelica Chord. This is really nice. So there is actually like a few more life gain cards in here than I originally remembered. This is okay. 2 Fortify, this is an absolute all-star card, I think. This is like a really good, flexible little combat trick. So 2 and a white, instant. You choose 1, creature you control, get +2/+0 turn, so that's like Trumpet Blast, right? Except it doesn't rely on them attacking. Or creature you control, get +0/+2 turn. So this is like a really good, flexible combat trick. I think this is really good at 3 mana. Really, really solid. Can really swing a combat. A single Hunt the Weak, so this is like your only real removal spell, which is pretty sad. So 3 and a green, sorcery speed, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then that creature fights a creature you don't control. So it's 3 more mana than Prey Upon, and Prey Upon is like, just 1 green mana for a fight effect. So you got to ask yourself, is it worth paying 3 mana to get the +1/+1 counter as well? If it helps like the creature you're going to use to fight like punch up or like survive, then sure, I guess. I do think this is like a little overcosted, honestly. A single Elixir of Immortality, so 1 mana artifact, 2 tap, you gain 5 life, and then shuffle it and your graveyard back into owner's library. So actually, another light life gain effect, so it's actually a bigger theme, I would say, than the enchantments and auras in the deck, honestly. This is really solid. I like this card. It appeals to a very sort of I really like the sort of the janky potential of this, of just it playing it multiple times in the game. I think it's alright. And then a single Staff of the Sun Magus. So get used to this because pretty much all the M14 decks have like this in them. Not this one specifically, but for their dominant color. So 3 mana artifact. It's basically like an evolution of like the like Angel's Feather and those kind of cards. So whenever you cast a white spell or a planes enters the battlefield under control, you gain 1 life. So again, actually helps towards the life gain theme actually. So yeah, it's really makes Ajani's Chosen look like really weird when so much of the deck is actually geared more towards like life gain effects actually. But yeah, these staffs like they're fine, but all they do is gain you life, which in this deck is fine, but like in the other decks, like it's it's a stalling tactic, isn't it? And unlike the other Lucky Charms that only triggers off your stuff, it doesn't trigger off opponent stuff as well. And they all have this this very cookie cutter flavor text of a symbol of X in Y times. So yeah, get used to seeing these staffs. And then 16 plains and 9 forests. So, what could have been? Let's talk about alternate rares first of all. So, I definitely think Path of Bravery, for sure, should have been the alternate rare instead of Indestructibility, because it's an enchantment which plays to the kind of enchantment theme you've got. As long as your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, creatures you control get +1/+1, plays towards like the life gain aspect of the deck. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control attack, you gain life equal to the number of attacking creatures. So this, I think, 100% should have been the other rare instead of Indestructibility, because it plays to both the themes of the deck, which is sort of enchantments and life gain. So yeah, 100% I think instead of Indestructibility. So another potential I suppose could have been Oath of the Ancient Wood. I'm really glad it wasn't actually, because I do think this is a very underwhelming card. So 2 and a green enchantment. When Oath of the Ancient Wood or another enchantment ends the battlefield under control, you can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. This doesn't feel like worth it being a rare, This feels like a strong uncommon, maybe like a build around uncommon, but it's like it's not worth being a rare. If this was uncommon, then I think it would be an absolute perfect inclusion. But like this is such a disappointing rare. I think it needs a bigger effect for it to be rare. Like maybe like 2 +1/+1 counters, or a +1/+1 counter and gain some life, or a +1/+1 counter and draw a card. I don't know, but like something, because as it is, it feels very disappointing to me. And the other card, which I actually was a little surprised wasn't in here, as it was an M14, Verdant Haven. So 2 and a green. So this was just reprinted from the Ravnica sets we've just had. So 2 and a green, aura that goes on a land. When it ends the battlefield, you gain 2 life. And whenever the land is tapped for mana, you get 1 extra mana of any color. So that's pretty good. Helps you, ramp up and stuff. Gets you life. It's an enchantment. Again, it's all things this deck sort of wants to stay on theme. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, 100% Path of Bravery instead of Indestructibility. I think that would be such a immediately good change for the deck, honestly. In summary, yeah, it's all right. It's just all right. It's just like white green auras, and life gain. Sure, it's just it's hard to get a bit excited by it. I think mostly because like M14 has like a pretty bland card pool in my opinion. But yeah, it's all right. I think it would play okay out of the box. These kind of aura-ish decks do. Obviously you got like no removal in this at all, which is like a shame. The pacifisms is it basically, but you can't rely on anything like a Divine Verdict or that kind of card. So yeah, I guess it's just kind of play some sort of like mediocre-ish white green creatures and then load them up with some of your auras and gain a bit of life, I suppose. Yeah, it's all right. Kind of verging towards weak, honestly. But I'd like to hear what other people's opinions on this deck are. If you've got any stories or thoughts or comments or opinions about this deck or any of the cards in it, stick a comment below. Always like reading those. I'll be back next time to look at another Magic 2014 intro pack. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.